Tanya, and today I will be sharing with you all how I promote Spanish at home. But quickly, before I even get into the video, I want to kind of like debunk a myth that I hear very often, which is like the fact that you shouldn't be speaking in Spanish or you shouldn't be speaking in two languages with your baby or your child, and that could not be more false. I remember working in ECI, and it just depended, you know, where I was. But when I would go into some of the homes where the family speaks Spanish and then here their kid is with a speech delay, they blame themselves. You know, they're here saying, oh, everyone tells me like I shouldn't have spoken two languages, or I should have just stuck to Spanish, I should have only stuck to English. And that's just not true. Babies' brains are so flexible. They're so smart, and they could learn 3 languages if they wanted to, you know? You're taking everything in around it. That's the time that if you're reading books to them, they're gonna take in all that language and really store that in their brain like for the rest of their lives. Example, my first language was Spanish, and I was pushed, you know, Spanish, and then when I went into school, I learned English. I did get that Spanish and English environment as a baby as well, but now I don't really speak Spanish. I stick to English. That's just what I'm comfortable with. But do I know Spanish? Yes. Can I read Spanish? Yes. Can I understand Spanish? Yes. It's the thing I'm more comfortable with, but it's really stored in my brain. Like, I completely know Spanish. Does that make sense? Anyway, I just wanted to quickly say, like, that's a myth. You shouldn't be feeling bad for speaking in both languages to your kids. Now, getting into the video, the ways that I promote Spanish at home is by speaking Spanish when I can, and that's complete, full grammatical sentences in Spanish. Number 2 is using sign language when I can. That's not going to be complete sentences. I'll go more into depth about that one. The third way that I promote Spanish in my house and what works for us is books. Now, I will go into depth on all those 3, so I'm going to start with the very first one, which is speaking in Spanish when I can. When I say speaking in Spanish when I can, this is entirely what works for my family, so this may not be exactly what works for you. And I mention that just because I've heard of many different ways that bilingualism works at home, which, for example, could be only mom speaks Spanish, and with dad, the child only hears English. Or vice versa. Dad only speaks Spanish, and then mom will only speak English, and that's what works for the child. So in my case, both Nathan and I know Spanish. We are comfortable speaking Spanish, but it's not something we use every single day. So it's very easy to get lazy and only speaking English because that's what we're using every single day. But because we want to promote this Spanish environment and really want our child to understand Spanish to some degree, we use small phrases, or sometimes we even use just one single word. So for example, we could say, an example of a phrase that I use practically every day would be dame eso, which means give me that. So that's just something I use with our baby so that he starts to learn, oh, this means give it to her. Some other simple words that I use would be mira. I use that seriously every single day. Look, that's what it means. I feel like those simple phrases, simple words make a world of a difference. Now, our families also speak Spanish, so when we bring Rio around our family, most likely with grandma and grandpa on both sides, he's going to be hearing more Spanish, and that's just the way it is. That's how I think he's going to pick up on Spanish. Something that goes along with speaking in sentences, speaking in Spanish when I can, is speaking in grammatical, clear, complete sentences. It's not very helpful if I'm using both English and Spanish in one sentence. For example, if Rio is in his high chair and he's getting very antsy and I can tell he wants to get out, it's very easy to just resort to how I would normally speak. And if I'm going to use both English and Spanish in the sentence, I would normally say get us out. But that's not something he's going to understand. Instead of saying get us out, I'm going to just stick to full-on Spanish in that sentence, or English. So I could say get us salir, or I can say, okay, you want out, and then model getting him out. He'll pick up, okay, that's what I'm going to say. This is how my mom tells me, this is what I want, this is how I express what I want to do in this moment. So saying get us out isn't as helpful as just sticking to one language. So that's entirely one way that we promote Spanish in our household. The second way we promote it, like I said, was using sign language. Now, when I say sign language, I feel like what pops into everybody's brain is like actually using signs to speak in full sentences, and that's not the case. This is something I really picked up working in early childhood intervention. I learned that children who don't start to say words like at the normal age range will pick up on signs. It's just something that's easier for them to use to communicate instead of jumping straight to words. It just is. So again, working in ECI, I used really like only 3 signs. We stuck to only 3, which were the basic ones for the child to get their basic wants and needs met. The first sign we use with Rio is more. And I say I use signs to promote Spanish because a lot of the times I use this sign and then I will say the meaning in both English and Spanish. So for example, when he's eating and we're giving him a spoonful of yogurt, because he had that today, if we're feeding him that and he opens up his mouth kind of asking for more, I'll model the sign. I'll say more, but then I'll also pick up his hands and I'll move them to sign more, and I'll say más. I make sure I use that sign not only when eating, I use it when we're doing toys as well. If we're doing a small activity on the floor, if he's sitting down and he wants, let's just say for example, 2 blocks, I'll give him 1, and if he's getting kind of frustrated or wants the other one, I see him kind of reaching for it, I'll start to give it to him, and when I do, I'll say more, and then I'll use my hands and say más. So I make sure I'm always saying the word in those 2 different languages so that he understands this sign is both more and más. Another sign that I found to be super important in ECI was all done. And for that one, we used to do all done this way, but I've started to do it this way. I see it said that way in a lot of other books and in classrooms and stuff, so we do all done this way. Again, I'll use this sign during mealtime. I'll use it when we're transitioning from playing a game to changing him for the day. Something like that, like during transitions is when I'll use all done for him to understand, you're all done playing, now it's time for meals. You're all done with your food, now it's time to nap. With all done, I'll say all done, or I'll say se acabó. I say those 2 ways just for him again to understand that all done is said in 2 different ways. The last sign that I used a lot during my time in ECI was please. However, we don't use that one with Rio as much because I feel like that's for later as he's learning manners, I guess. We really just stick to more and all done for him to learn right now. And lastly, what I find to be the most important are books. I remember when I was pregnant, a lot of people would tell me, oh, you should read to him, make him smarter. You should narrate what you're doing, make him smarter. And I was like, nah. It just seemed like a lot of work at the time, like while I was pregnant. I just didn't want to do it. And now that he's here, we're always reading books. I feel like we make it a point every single day. I'll be honest, it's not super consistent throughout his day. We don't read in the morning and midday and after his meals and stuff. We really emphasize books before bed. What we'll do is we take books like this. I have them here to show you guys. In Spanish and in English. We have this one that's animals and animales, and then we have this book that says numbers and números. And I really like these because they give you the picture, like a real life picture of what it is, and then it tells you the item in both English and in Spanish. See, so un tren, 1 train, 2 pollitos, 2 chicks. And reading these over and over and over is super important as well, because then he'll really start to learn the meaning of it. He understands like this is what this means. So I like these books a lot. We even have a really big one that says my first words or mis primeras palabras, something like that, and every single picture is both in English and in Spanish. I feel like those are really good first books when he's first learning Spanish, you know, so again, he sees the picture and understands completely what he's looking at, completely what it means. We also have some other books. I didn't get to bring them, but they're in his room and they're much more longer sentences. I bought those strictly in Spanish because we don't speak Spanish as much as we should in the household. So for him to learn and be more exposed to it at home, I read the longer books so that he's still hearing that Spanish and getting that input, you know. And that's it. Those are my 3 ways. Number 1 was speaking in Spanish, full, complete grammatical sentences when we can, and number 2 was using sign language, and number 3 was reading books in both English and Spanish. If you did enjoy my content today, please make sure to give my video a like and subscribe to my channel. It means so much to me. I will catch you guys in my next video. Bye.